Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope so everyone is fine and good. Welcome again with one more video lecture. Okay, dear students, in the previous lecture I have discussed about the pollination and types of pollination. Okay, what is pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a stamen to the stigma of a carpel is called pollination. Okay, the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a stamen to the stigma of a carpel is called pollination. Okay, this pollination that is of two types. Okay, self pollination and cross pollination. What is self pollination and what is cross pollination? When the pollen grains from the anther of a flower are transferred to the stigma of the same flower or another flower on the same plant. Okay, but the plant should be same. The flowers may be different, but the plant should be same, and the pollination in those plants is self pollination. Second is cross pollination. Okay, when the pollen grains from the anther of a plant, from the anther of a flower on one plant are transferred to the stigma of the flower on another plant. Okay, here in cross pollination the plants are different. Pollen grains from one flower of one plant are transferred to the other flower of another plant. That is known as cross pollination. Okay, today my topic is agents of pollination. What are agents of pollination? Mediums through which pollination takes place are called the agents of pollination. Okay, the mediums through which pollination takes place are called agents of pollination. The agents may be wind, water, or insects. Let us study how they help in the process of pollination. How the wind, how water, and how insects help in the process of pollination, and what are the characteristics of the flowers or the pollen grains of those wind pollinated plants or water pollinated plants or insect pollinated plants. First, we will discuss about the wind. Wind blows away pollen grains from the anthers of one flower to the stigma of the another flower. What? Wind blows away the pollen grains from the anthers of one flower to the stigma of the another flower. Okay. Generally, we use the term anemophily. Okay. Anemophily. What is anemophily? Pollinated by wind. Pollination by wind. That is known as anemophily. Okay, what are the features of the flowers of wind pollinated plants? The features of the wind pollinated plants, the features of the flowers of wind pollinated plants are they are small in size. The flowers, those are small in size. Second feature, that they are not brightly colored. The flowers of wind pollinated plants are not brightly colored. Third, they do not produce nectar. Okay, they do not produce nectar. These are the three features of the wind pollinated flowers. Second, features of the pollen grains. What are the features of the pollen grains of those wind pollinated flowers? The features of the pollen grains are they are very light. The weight is very less. Okay, they are very light and they are produced in very large numbers. They are produced in large numbers. The examples in which the pollination takes place by wind are wheat, rice, and maize. Wheat, rice, and maize are wind pollinated plants. Okay. Second is water. Aquatic plants release their pollen grains into the water. Those aquatic plants release their pollen grains into the water, and the pollens are carried to the other plant slowly. They are carried to the other plant slowly by the currents of the water. In aquatic plants are like sea grasses. Okay, they are pollinated by water. They are pollinated by water. Okay, as you can see here in the diagram, the male gametes are. This is the one aquatic plant. This is the second aquatic plant. By the water, the anthers, by the water current, the anthers of this flower are transferred to the another flower of different plant. Okay. Examples are sea grasses, they are pollinated by water. Third is insects. Okay, the bright color and the nectar in the flowers attract the insects towards them. Okay, the bright color and the nectar in the flowers attract the insects towards them. When insects sit on the flowers, the pollens get attached to their body. Okay, okay, when insects they sit on the flowers, the pollen grains get attached to their bodies. Okay, when these insects visit another flower, okay, when these insects visit other flowers, the pollens fall on their stigma, thus pollinating that flowers. The flowers pollinated by insects are usually bright colored, having nice smell and nectar. Examples are orchids and in sweet pea. Okay, insects visit flowers for nectar. Some pollen grains stick to their body parts. Okay, when these insects visit another flowers, the pollen grains fall on the stigma. What are the features of those flowers? What are the features of the flowers of insected of those plants in which pollination takes place through the medium of insects? Okay, they have sweet smell. The feature of those flowers are they have sweet smell. Second, they are brightly colored. Okay, they have brightly colored petals. Okay, example rose, sunflower. Okay, they may have light oblique white green petals for nocturnal insects. Example jasmine and cacti. And those flowers are rich in nectar. Those flowers are rich in nectar. What are the features of the pollen grain? They are sticky. Okay, those pollen grains stick to the bodies of the insects. Okay, when these insects visit another flowers, those pollen grains falls on the stigma of those plants, on the stigma of those flowers, and they get pollinated. These are the three different agents of pollination: wind, water, and insects. The scientific terms we use it for wind, that is anemophily. When pollination takes place by wind, that is known as anemophily. Second, pollination takes place by water, that is known as hydrophily. Third, when pollination takes place by insects, that is known as entomophily. Once again, remember these three terms: anemophily when pollination takes place by wind; second, hydrophily when pollination takes place by water; third, entomophily when pollination takes place by insects. Okay, now when pollination takes place, the other step for the seed formation in flowering plants is fertilization. Okay, fertilization. What is fertilization? The process of fusion of male and female gametes is called fertilization. What? The process of fusion of male and female gametes. When fusion of male and female gametes, when fusion of pollen grains with the ovules, when the fusion of pollen grains with the ovules takes place, is called fertilization. Okay, after successful pollination, the stigma secrete nutrients. Okay, after successful pollination, the stigma secrete nutrients. Pollen grains absorb these pollen grains when they come in contact with the stigma, as you can see here in the structure. Okay, after successful pollination, the stigma secrete nutrients. Pollen grains absorb these and start growing in the form of a thin tube called pollen tube. Okay, pollen grains absorb these nutrients, they start growing in the form of a tube. These pollen grains start growing in the form of a tube, okay, are called pollen tubes, until it reaches the ovule inside the ovary. Okay, this is an female reproductive part of flower. Okay, it has three parts: stigma, style, and ovary. In ovary there are ovules. Okay, when pollen grain absorbs these nutrients and start growing in the form of thin tubes. These thin tubes are called pollen tubes. These pollen tubes grow until they reach inside the ovary. Okay, these pollen tubes grow until they reach inside the ovary, then releases male gamete into the ovule. These pollen tubes releases that male gamete, releases that pollen grain into the ovule. Okay, and then fusion of that ovule takes with the pollen grain and fertilization takes place. Okay, when fertilization takes place, there is the formation of zygote. There is the formation of zygote. There is the formation of zygote when fertilization takes place. When the fusion of male and female gamete takes place, that is known as fertilization. After fertilization, formation of zygote takes place.